Okay, good morning. This is officially my video number 99. You're welcome to Mamu with Jarvis. Today we'll be looking at algebra for grade 10, revisiting the series, change of subject or formula. We've been able to handle two parts to this. You know that there are two iterations to it. There's one for grade 9, there's one for grade 10. But for grade 10, this is the part 3 of the series. We are using our text, the New General Mathematics for SS1. We are on page 84. We've covered question 1 to question 16. And today, we are going to hit the road with question 17. This is big expo, or call it big support to anybody who loves to learn alone. So trusting as we go through this series, you'll be able to solve, and not just solve the problem, but understand why decisions you are making are right per time. So let's hit the road with question number 17. In question number 17, we have that A is equal to 2b plus 3x all over 3b minus 2x. The interesting thing here is that as we move from problem to problem, as our knowledge base increase, what you observe is that your time spent to solve problems become what? Reduced. That's the objective. We try to teach you methods so that you can flow at your level or your grade and get the problem solved quickly. So let's look at this. Question 17. The first thing I want to do is to take care of my what? My denominator. And that becomes A into 3b minus 2x equal to 2b plus what? 3x. Remember that the objective here is to handle what? The subject. Okay, this states that the subject is x. We're trying to make x the subject of the formula. So what do? We will need to open this first. This becomes 3ab minus 2ax equal to 2b plus what? 3x. Now, at this point, we try to remember that in trying to write your terms, positive will always be better than negative. Anything that is good will always be better than what is bad. So we'll keep this. So the basis of your rewriting now is to ensure that the positive aspect of our problem is kept on the left hand side, and then the negative aspect is kept on the right hand side. So we collect like terms, and this will be 3x plus 2ax equal to 3ab plus what? 2b. So what do? We collect the like term here, which invariably is x, the subject of interest, and this becomes 3a plus 3 plus what? 2a. And that will give me what? B into 3a plus what? 2. With that said, x will now be equal to what? B into 3a plus 2 all over what? 2a plus 3. But you should recall that this was positive here, so as such, if it crosses the equality, I should be having a negative here. So take note of that. These are little errors you can make in an exam setup, so you must look out for them. You must look out for them. That's why we talk about the concept of additive inverse. So that said, with that correction taken note of, we're going to have that x will be equal to b into 3a minus 2. And this, okay, I've already taken care of that, 2a plus what? 3. Please be very careful when you solve problems like this. Be very, very careful. Your objective is to solve and to ensure that your answer is in line with the option provided in the exam, provided especially if it's an OBJ exam. If it's theory, you stop here, Or you take your answer to be this. Let's have a little change to that. Let's go back. Let's have 3 plus 2a, and then let's have 2a plus 3. Those answers are both the same. Those answers are both the same. So just a matter of rearrangement. Like a class I had earlier today, if I say 2 plus 3 and 3 plus 2, the effect is the same. When I put 3 first or I put 2 first, and I add them up together, the effect I will get at the end of the day will be the same. So the answer will remain the same, which is what? 5. Okay, so we'll go to the next question, question 18. Alright, we go to question 18, and the question says the square root of x equal to a. Here I'm going to be talking more like an English teacher. I'm not an English teacher, but I think it's one way to pass the idea across properly. Now, there's something in English we call words and their antonyms. The word antonym will suggest an anti-character. You have an actor, the main character, the protagonist. You also have what we call the villain, somebody who is just out to do terrible things. But that's the idea of this word and antonym. Okay, another way you can look at this is look at it in terms of what we call their inverses. So if I say addition, the antonym of addition will be what? Subtraction. Please follow me closely. So if I say subtraction, the antonym is going to be what? Addition. Invariably, that's what it's going to be. If I say multiplication, invariably, the antonym, let's clean that and let's have that well placed. If I say multiplication, the antonym is going to be what? Division. And if I say division, the antonym is going to be what? Multiplication. I'm taking pains to handle this because I'm taking you somewhere. So if I say square, the antonym is going to be what? Square roots. And if I say square roots, the antonym becomes what? Square. We're almost done. If I say cube, the antonym becomes what? Cube roots. And if I say cube roots, somebody's wondering why all the waste of this. Is very important. And the antonym becomes what? Cube. I'll stop at this because it's a very elaborate idea, but I want to use this to drive home this question. Because if you understand this concept very well, it will take you, the problem we're going into now shouldn't take you more than 10 seconds to solve. Even if you're not the best in the class, it shouldn't take you more than 10 seconds to solve if you catch the idea. Now look at this. If I say the square root of x equal to a, what is the antonym of square roots? It's going to be square. So the rule says transfer that antonym to the other side and the answer becomes a squared. And you're done with that. That took me less than 4 seconds to handle. Maybe about a second. So it's not something that requires you to try to understand what's happening. Proud to now, mathematicians will usually use the method of squaring both sides, but I discovered that that's archaic. That's old school. We want to work with a new school. We want to work at the level of the cosmic reality. No more mechanical. We're past mechanical tools. Now we're going at a cosmic level. So to be able to handle cosmic threats, hence we have to upgrade and borrow relief from our English people. They have a very nice application. Simple words and what antonyms. So in handling problems like this, what you need to do is identify the word and multiply the others and just simply transfer the concept by writing what the antonym on the other side. Okay, let's see how for the next 5-6 problems we're going to see how this plays out. Okay, we have a number of questions on the board to handle, and we'll start with question, what is that? Question 19. The square root of 2x equal to a. Here I will delve into the multiverse. When we were growing up, we used to watch a lot of magical movies, and I'm going to use an idea from there to help you understand this concept. Whatever is happening to one side, with this method I'm using, the effect you are transferring must affect everything on the other side. So if you have square roots affecting this side, by my English people explanation, I will transfer the opposite effects to the other side. To appreciate what we are doing, you may want to look up the movie called Tenets. I'm trying to understand the concept of that movie, but I think that's the idea here. The effect here, you transfer the inverse to this other side. So what that means is that 2x will be equal to, by concept of antonym, a squared. Is that not? And then at this level, you borrow ideas you've had before now, which is to divide both sides by the coefficient. And the coefficient is identified as what? 2. And then x will simply be what? A squared over 2. So that takes care of question number 19. In question 20, we notice that we have 2 root x equal to a. You cannot apply your antonym except the coefficient of the unknown is 1. So before you can apply our antonym rule, you need to take care of this foreigner. And here I use the concept of trying to deceive your imagination. You can actually deceive your mind. People don't believe that it's possible. You can deceive your mind. And this is how it works. Imagine that root x is actually what? Y. If I imagine that root x is actually y, what I will be seeing will be what? 2y equal to a. So how would you have treated this? You would have divided both sides by what? 2. So at the end of the day, you have y equal to what? A over 2. But what is y? Y is actually what? Root x. So sometimes when you are solving problems, you need to be able to deceive your mind so that you're not afraid. Think of something else. Like I'll tell students, if you're going to say 2x plus 3x, instead of just saying 2x plus 3x, you know you have a phobia for letters. Just call it 2 apples plus 3 apples. Instinctively, you see your mind will begin to work. Why? Because you want to eat apple. Your mind begins to imagine that you're at one very nice place eating apple. And almost instinctively, you walk through the problem and don't imagine that there's a problem. That's the idea you can apply here. So if we go with that, this becomes what? Root x equal to a over 2. So what do you do next? You transfer the effect. Now, be careful here. The effect here will affect everything here. So x will be equal to a over 2 all squared. All squared. And what does that give you? We need to bring it this way. Or maybe we should clean down so that I was thinking it was not going to be a problem, but obviously I need more space than that. So x will be equal to what? A squared over 4. And that solves that question. Okay, I'm going to leave question 21 and go on to 22 and then come back later to question 21. Now, what do you do here? The same thing here, you need to clear the intruder. I call him the intruder. You need to clear who? The intruder. Or you need to deal with the gate man. Or you need to take care of the password. Depends on which one appeals to you. You take care of the password. The password is A, so I will divide both sides by A. And I'm going to have root x equal to B over A. and then I transfer the antonym. I transfer what? The antonym. And then x will be equal to b over a all squared. Invariably, that will give you what? B squared over a squared. That takes care of question number 22. That will take care of question number 22. Alright, let's go to 23. In question number 23, we have the square root of ax equal to b. We don't have any intruder. There's no password, just like my laptop. My phone. No password. It's not necessary. I don't have anything secret I'm hiding. So the square root of ax equal to b. There's no password. So what do? I simply apply I go to English department. I ask them for the power of antonym. And what do? I transfer the effects. And that will be what? B squared. At this point in time, I have somebody I don't need, a, and that a is a coefficient. Having defined the subject as x, and I divide both sides by what? A, and I have that x will be equal to what? B squared over what? A. We go to the next one. Now, in the next question, what we have is what? Cube roots. And I go to my archive. According to my English department people, they have told me that, okay, the word I'm dealing with now is what? Cube root. So what will the antonym be? Cube. Without racking my brain and trying to phantom anything, I come here. It's okay, I have cube root here. So I'm transferring antonym to the other side. Becomes what? X over A equal to B cube. And as such, X will simply be what? AB cube. Because A is a denominator, I apply the effect of multiplying through by A, and I'm going to have what? AB cubed. You discover that you've been thinking before that, oh, this thing will take time to solve, but you're seeing that there's really no time wasted in solving this. Now, I have x squared equal to a to the power of 4. What do? I go to my department. I have square. What am I transferring? Square root. So I come here x equal to the square root of what? A to the power of 4. A to the power of 4 means that I have what? A occurring what? 4 times. If I find the square root of something occurring 4 times, how many would I be left with? 2. Good. So that will be what? A squared. But let's go back a little. Some people still find this very difficult to understand. Now look at this. X will be equal to the square root of what? A occurring 4 times. So I'll say A times A times A times A. The concept of square root is a concept of pairing. Pairing and taking 1. If you remember your grade 8, when we taught you square root by method of factorization, you discover that we did something like this. Let's have this side of the board clean, and so let's do more explanation on that. Now, look at that. So I'm transferring the question here. Square root of A times A times A times A. Now, they say find the square root of A to the power of 4. Look at it. If you remember your grade 8, we did something like this. A to the power of 4. What do you do? A cubed, A squared, A what? 1. You pair to pick 1. You pair to pick 1. Because remember this. Oh my goodness, if you have forgotten it, then you need to go back to grade 8. Now x will now be equal to what? A times A. And that will be what? A squared. So you see that technically you can actually solve problems without having knowledge of certain areas of mathematics. What you have learned is enough to take you to higher levels. Alright, we will take question 21, which we missed out for space reason. The concept here is still the same. I visit my English department and I take a course in antonyms and I apply that here. That will be x over 2 equal to what? A squared. Because the antonym of what? Square root is what? Square. And as such, x will be equal to what? 2a squared. Alright, so that takes care of that. Now here is a very straightforward one. It's just a direct transfer. if you look at what we have, the antonym of square is what? Square root. So that means x is simply what? The square root of what? A. And that takes care of question number 26. So in question number 27, we have x plus a square root equal to what? B. So what do we do at this point? We visit our department and we see that the antonym of square root is what? Square. So that means x plus a equal to what? B squared. Take note of something. There's something you need to be very careful of here. The effect is transferred from one side and affects everything. The opposite effect is what is felt on the other side. So if you transfer square or square root, it affects everything on your right hand side, not one. It's not selective. Just like COVID-19, does not select. You just go and attack everybody. So the effect it will create on you finally is whether you have your immune system can withstand it or not. But it will come. When it comes like that. Alright, so that will mean that x will now be equal to b squared minus a. Here we are applying our knowledge of what? Additive inverse. Previous knowledge, what we started with now. So you see now it's a mixture now. You're bringing previous idea to bear here. And that's how question 27 is solved. So we go on to question 28, where we have the square root of x squared plus a squared is equal to b. Step, I take a trip to the English department. I try to look for the statement of the problem. Square roots. I ask them to give me the antonym of square roots. And the teacher is gracious to provide that the square root, the antonym of what square root is what? Square. Without wasting precious government time, I come to the board. I see x squared plus a squared is equal to what? B squared. What do I do next? X squared will now be equal to what? B squared rather minus what? A squared. B squared minus what? A squared. Right. Now, at this point, I am seeing x squared. So I go back to the department again that I have another problem. Please, what is the antonym of square? And they tell me, dear, it is what? Square root. Without wasting precious time, I come back to the board. And I'm having x equal to the square root of what? B squared minus a squared. And at the end of the day, I'm paid handsomely for doing a good job. Question 29. Same thing, I'm seeing square roots there. So I come to the department, I ask them, please, could you give me a remedy for square root? And they say, you need the antonym called what? Square. So I come here, I have x squared plus a squared equal to what? 9 equal to 3a all squared. Remember we said that the effect is always transferred to everything on the right hand side. That said, x squared plus a squared will now be equal to what? 3a times 3a. 3a squared means multiply 3a twice. And that will simply be what? 9a squared. So that said, this becomes 9a squared. And x squared will now be equal to what? 9a squared minus a squared, which will be what? 8a squared. Now, I come back to them again. I have a challenge. I have squared. What do I do? And then they tell me, oh, son, you need square roots. And then they give square root to me. I'm going to have 8a squared. Straight away. At this point, I'm going to have what? What's the square root? This will be the square root of 8 times the square root of what? A squared. The square root of 8 times the square root of a squared. Now, what is the square root of 8? Wow. Someone tells me, I need to visit my friends in Sword. Okay, I'm going to call a friend called what? Sword. And he's going to help me take care of that problem. But in the interim, let's deal with what I know very well. And I say, the square root of A will mean what? A in two places. Pick one. And that gives me what? A. So, I travel to Sword. And I'm like, what's going to happen to this square root of 8? That's very simple. You can just check out my video on Mambo Javis, and that solution will be well taken care of. So, but how do we solve that? The square root, let's clean the board, let's have a bit of space and let's take care of that. Now look at that. If I have the square root of 8, the rule for sort says that I would write this number in the form of a number that is a perfect square and another number. So that will now be what? 4 times 2. I've done an extensive video on this. You may want to watch and get a better understanding of that. And this will give you what? 2 root 2. So I'll come here and say it is 2 root 2. That will mean that 2 can multiply a, which will give me 2a, and the answer becomes 2a root 2. And that solves that question. So you discover that sometimes in solving problems, you really need to have ideas from other areas of maths to be able to handle it. We're doing algebra, but you discover that we're going to sort. We're going to the I'm trying not to Nebuchadnezzar, that's the name I was looking for in the matrix to get the solution to this problem. In question 30, we have a over x minus 1 equal to b over 2x. Here we'll recall our concept of LCD. And if you look at this closely, the LCD is 2x. We use that 2x to run this thing through. I'm going to have 2a minus 2x equal to b. Now, some person will be asking, how is that possible now? Use 2x to multiply a over x. You're going to see 2a coming out. Use negative 1 to multiply 2x. You're going to see 2x coming out. Use b to multiply b over 2x to multiply 2x. You're going to see b coming out of that. I hope that has convinced a number of us. At this point, you discover that the unknown we are trying to take care of, or the subject is negative. So we need to deal with it. So we add this additive inverse on this side and bring this way. So that will be 2a minus b equal to 2x. What I want you to see at this point is this. Sometimes in the exam, we have said try to always keep the unknown on your left hand side, or keep the subject on the left hand side. But that's not an exclusive rule. You can actually take care of this first before you now rewrite. You're still correct. And this will now be what? 2x equal to 2a minus b. And I divide both sides by 2, and x will be equal to 2a minus b all over 2. And that will suffice for the solution to that question. Alright, so here we need the password. Is that not? And the password is a. So this will be this. Divide both sides by a. And you're going to have that the square root of x minus 1 is equal to b over a. I pay my friends in the English department to give me the antonym of square root. And they have told me that it is what? Square. So that will be x minus 1 equal to b over a all squared. At this point, the only issue I'm having is what? Negative 1. So x will now be equal to b over a all squared minus 1. Okay, plus 1. Thanks for the observation. It's actually going to be what? Plus 1. So b over a all squared plus 1. From here you can do wonderful things, but let's keep it at that. Somebody can also go on to see that it is what? B squared over a squared plus 1. Somebody else can go on to see this b squared plus a squared over what? A squared, which is a squared plus b squared over a squared. But that's not our focus for this course. Once you can get to this point, the next thing you need to look at for is what is the examiner? What's his option if it's an OBJ exam? What's the option that is close to that? And that takes care of that problem.